Hello. I'm going to say a little bit today about experiencing difficult life situations and facing adversity. So, we all face adversity at some point in our lives. Sometimes it feels a little bit more confronting than others, depending on the situation. So, the first thing to say, really, from a coaching point of view, is that this is not ever about denying the situation or whitewashing it with positivity. The first thing we're going to do is acknowledge that life experiences will happen to us and we can't predict how that will play out. So the invitation is, particularly if you're in the midst of that right now, is to go gently with it. Be really gentle with yourself when that's possible. The second thing is to look at the nature of experience and to see that it's never a solid linear thing, even though it can sometimes look like it is. So we know from looking at nature that there's an ebb and flow to life, and that if you're facing adversity, it's really about our relationship with it and how it's held in the body and in, the entirety of our being. So it's likely that the emotional experience will not be linear. It will come in peaks and troughs, ebb and flow, and that's the nature of it. If you face grief, you will know that there'll be unexpected crushing moments of overwhelm and bleakness, sadness, all very normal, natural responses. And then there'll be moments where we forget, or it feels like life is normal and bearable and okay, or we're even having fun and we're happy, and then we feel guilty for experiencing that. It's the nature of it. So not to try and enforce some kind of linear kind of conformity to that, because that's not how our experience works. And then it's an invitation to, rather than move away from it and resist it, because we've been conditioned to believe that uncomfortable, distressing feelings are not allowable, that we must repress them and push them aside, or that we can't handle them. We're going to gently move towards it where that's possible, where there is readiness, and kind of look a little bit more closely at it, but from a really compassionate stance. We're not going to force that in any way. It's just be with the experience, be in the heart of the experience, and notice that it is possible to allow those feelings to rise up in you. And the mind will make all sorts of stories about what that means for you, how it's not possible, what kind of person that makes you. But that's just the mind chatter. That's not who you are. In that moment, it's purely about those sensations in the body and being with the experience. Sometimes that's not possible, and that's okay too. In terms of resistance, when we start to resist resistance, that's just going to make the experience even more confronting. So when it's not possible, that's okay. We're human beings. It's not going to always work textbook style. So we're just going to be really loving about it, and remember in the moment when we can that all the mind's projections, its desire to stay safe, its catastrophizing, looking ahead, planning, projecting, that's just what the mind does. It's not a personal thing. The mind is trying to keep the identity or the psychological self safe, and it does that by creating quite fear-inducing thoughts sometimes, and we get pulled in, of course we do, and invested in it, and it all looks so true and real, and the pain is real, of course, but the projections into the future are not real. We can only be here in this moment, rooted right here in presence, and that's when we can sometimes take that chance to just decompress a little bit and be where we're at here, because actually right now, just sitting in this room, there's nothing else happening but this. Everything else is just happening in the mind's imagination. So we can just be with what is, and that equips us to deal with whatever is happening with the most capacity possible. We're fully present to it, and we're much more responsive when we're present to something than when we're completely invested in the mind, trying to cover off every eventuality. So it's just a gentle reminder to come back, be compassionate, remember you're human, we won't get this right, what is right even anyway, and to just be here with it. Lots of love.